I'm D.C. Gilbert, author of Reciprocity. Every story starts with a question. What happens when loyalty, violence, sacrifice, and justice collide? Reciprocity was written to explore that question through the eyes of people forced into impossible situations where every decision carries a cost. What you're about to hear is the prologue, the opening moments that set everything in motion. I hope it pulls you into the world as deeply as it pulled me while writing it. Thank you for watching and welcome to Reciprocity.
This title is narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. Reciprocity by D.C. Gilbert. Prologue. Damn, it's hot. Taylor wiped sweat from his forehead with a towel, then glanced at his opponent across the makeshift ring. The man was huge, definitely not Filipino. Must be Samoan, Taylor thought. He'd seen a few Samoans during his time in the Special Forces and respected them. Solid operators. Taylor stood just under 6 feet in his socks and weighed a solid 195 pounds. His opponent was a bit taller and heavier. He could also hit. The big man had trained, probably Muay Thai. While the Samoan's technique was a bit sloppy, he moved like a Thai boxer, and his elbows and knees were wicked. A punishing knee to Taylor's ribs had prompted the end of the first round. These local, unsanctioned fights typically were scheduled for 3 rounds. However, there was no timer, bell, or anything you could call rules. If a fighter got injured, the center referee would pause the fight long enough to ensure the fighter could continue. That pause effectively ended the round. While a few fights Taylor had fought in had gone 2 rounds, he'd yet to see one make it to 3. They were too brutal for that. Tonight was Taylor's 12th such fight. A few weeks back, broke and badly in need of a drink, he'd stumbled into a bar playing host to a local fight night. After watching the first 2 amateurs go at it, Taylor, unimpressed, started to leave. Then he saw the winner being handed 5,000 Philippine pesos, roughly the equivalent of 150 American dollars. So when the promoter called for 2 more volunteers, Taylor made his way out onto the dance floor. The fight was short, despite, or maybe because of Taylor's dire need for a drink. His training saw to that. Collecting his winnings, he'd headed straight to the bar and, after a few shots, felt steady enough to venture down the street to the liquor store, where he picked up a bottle of his self-prescribed medication. From there, he'd stumbled back to his apartment. Since that night, Taylor had participated in 11 more human cockfights. He'd lost the next 2 simply because he was too drunk to stand, never mind defend himself. However, the instinct for self-preservation combined with a need for cash made Taylor modify his drinking habit just enough to fit his fight schedule. Then he began to win, quickly becoming a favorite with several locals who started betting on him instead of the Filipino fighters. As his winnings grew, those betting on Taylor began to win a lot of money. His fans were happy, but not all were pleased. Some of the local gangs began to take notice. After all, they had their favorite fighters and did not like constantly losing to an American drunkard. Tonight's opponent was the toughest Taylor had faced so far. Although they were matched in size, this man was tough as nails and knew how to fight. Lucky I don't have a few broken ribs, Taylor thought. He took a swallow from the beer he'd left sitting on a stack of crates when his name was called to fight. The venue tonight was an old warehouse along the Pasig River in the Tondo district of Manila. Tondo is the largest district in area and population. It also had the highest crime rate in the Philippines. Taylor figured there had to be at least 1 murder per week. Fortunately, most of the killings were drug-related and did not involve foreigners or tourists. Still, he knew some extremely dangerous men and women who lived there. While not exactly Madison Square Garden, someone had set up the warehouse nicely. Chairs and tables circled a marked-off fight ring, and a makeshift but well-stocked bar ran along one side of the building. A pungent blend of cigar, cigarette, and marijuana smoke filled the air. Alcohol flowed freely. A sizable crowd had shown up for tonight's event. Taylor noticed that the clientele attending his fights was improving as he continued to win. More affluent spectators were now in the crowd. Taylor saw some successful business people and recognized a few leaders of some prominent local gangs. He saw fewer of the societal dregs who'd frequented his earlier fights in local dives. More women were now in attendance, which did not escape Taylor's eyes. They were typically attractive, often on the arms of well-dressed men. There were also a few women who seemed to be alone. Two caught his eye, especially since both had been present at his last two fights. They looked to be twin sisters, and both were stunningly beautiful. The referee called. Wiping his forehead and taking one last slug from his beer, Taylor returned to the center of the ring. Time to end this before I screw around and get hurt. His opponent, confident he'd hurt Taylor badly with that last knee to the ribs, came on strong, pressing his advantage. He fired a hard, cutting kick at Taylor's right leg, which Taylor narrowly avoided. He immediately followed with a left jab, then a hard right elbow strike toward the temple. Taylor slipped the jab and raised his left forearm to deflect the elbow. It was what the other fighter was waiting for, and he launched a brutal shin kick at Taylor's battered ribs. Taylor shifted slightly to his right as his left arm dropped suddenly, hooking around his opponent's kicking leg and trapping it against his left side. Ignoring the screaming pain from his badly bruised ribs, Taylor shifted, taking his opponent off balance. Grabbing the fighter's windpipe in a vice-like grip, he swept the bigger man's left leg out from under him, driving his opponent to the floor. The big man hit hard. Taylor followed him down while maintaining control of the leg. He dropped his right knee into the man's groin, and a loud groan escaped the Samoan's clenched teeth. Taylor reached down and grabbed a handful of hair, jerking the man's head around, and slammed his fist into the right side of the man's massive jaw, which must have been chiseled from granite because somehow it did not shatter. Even so, the Samoan collapsed to the floor. He was out cold. The fight was over. Taylor released his grip on his opponent's hair and stood up. Swaying just a bit, he paused and looked down at the unmoving form. Then, he abruptly turned and walked over to the stack of crates to finish his beer. "Okay, time to collect my money and get the hell out of here." Sensing a presence behind him, Taylor turned to find a woman looking up at him. She was one of the twins he'd spotted earlier, even more breathtaking up close. She smiled. "That was a great fight. You are an excellent fighter." Her eyes boldly roamed over his 6-foot frame. "I have made good money from your last two fights." Taylor nodded. "Glad to hear that, ma'am. Excuse me, I have to collect my winnings and then go get cleaned up. It was nice talking to you." He turned to walk away. "Wait." Taylor paused and looked back. "There's a shower here at the warehouse you can use if you like. I can ensure your money is safe until you're ready to leave." Taylor frowned, then chuckled. "Why would I do that? Trust you to keep my money safe?" "I like you, and let's just say I want to buy you a drink. After that, who knows?" She smiled again, then shrugged, leaving the possibilities hanging. Taylor's mind began to consider those possibilities. "I could use a drink," he thought. This lady was damn pretty, even if she only came up to his chest. "You don't think the warehouse owner would object to me using the shower?" Again, the woman smiled. "I can guarantee it. My sister and I own the warehouse. So, Taylor? Can I call you Taylor? What do you say? Or would you prefer I call you something else?" "Sure, Taylor will do. And what should I call you?" "My name is Blessica. Blessica Bagwinda." Taylor knew the name, Everyone in the Tondo district, and probably throughout the entire city of Manila, knew it. Blessica and her sister, Mahalia, ran the Dalawang Mangad na Mafia, or Two Sisters Mafia. Blessica saw the surprise and recognition register on his face. "I see you have heard of me." Taylor nodded. "I have. You and your sister are, shall we say, well known in some circles." "Does it matter?" Taylor considered that and then shook his head. After all, he was not exactly a model citizen himself. "I guess not." Blessica smiled widely. "Great, let me show you to the shower."
Stories only truly come alive when they connect with readers. So thank you for spending a few moments with me and experiencing the opening of Reciprocity. If you'd like to read the rest of the story, the novel is available now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and other retail book outlets. And if you enjoy it, one of the most powerful ways you can support an author is by leaving a review. Reviews help more readers discover the story and allow authors like me to keep creating new stories. So thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you again in the world of reciprocity.